What's going on, everybody? Troy Rawlings here. Welcome to another exciting episode of Meet the. And I done dragged this beautiful sister. This got to be part one of two because I got a lot of stuff to talk to her about. This is Meet the hip hop icon, the legend. Even though she looked like she's still in college.
I love you.
Because it don't make sense. So if I'm talking about you, and I can imagine how many times you get ran up on the street, like, shorty, look.
Listen,
he in Los Angeles trying to do the, you like, what are you trying to say?
later for Stella getting her groove back. Leslie will get her groove back.
Give it up for Big Les, y'all. Big Les.
Hey.
So I did the promo. Some people might have saw the promo. People my age, and it's first off, what are you doing to stay looking? You look younger now than you did back in the day. So what are you doing?
I'll take it. I mean, everybody kind of knows I call myself Sporty Spice, right? Because I've been a tomboy at heart, the gymnastics, the dance. I'm somebody who loves to work out, and I really just can't keep still. And so I'm tumbling, I'm still doing trapeze, I do trampoline, like you'll see all of this on my page. You know, I'm a gymnast forever. I'm gonna be like Jack LaLanne and Jackie Chan until I'm like 111, and I'm gonna go down doing cartwheels in the front lawn if it kills me. So
let's start from the beginning. We meet the interview, we jump right in. I was about to ask you, it's kind of obvious that sports and gymnastics, I guess, came before dance. Is that so? What was your first love? What did you get into? You're tomboy, but obviously you got a gymnastics background. The fitness is bananas. So what was the first thing that really drew your interest active wise as a kid?
I mean, I played everything. I went literally from dodgeball to softball. I did a lot of skating. Ice skating and roller skating big time was like really a thing for me on Saturday. Me and a girl down the hall in our building would always ride our bikes to the ice skating rink or the roller skating rink. So, but I always did cartwheels and the whole backflips in the park. And somebody told my mom, like, my mother, I was breaking furniture in the house. My mother's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And literally, I would watch it on Saturday on Wild World of Sports. I'd watch gymnastics all the time. And literally,
and that's how they started it. Somebody,
and I'd be sitting there, and like those were the posters that I had. So once she put me in a trampoline class, which was close to the hospital where she worked because she was a nurse, the trampoline instructor was like, okay, she needs to be in a gymnastic class. She's really good. And literally, I started later than most. Most little kids started like age 3 or 4. I didn't start till I was about 10 or 11. And once my mom switched me from trampoline to gymnastics, I was competing in national competition in a year. So that's kind of my first love, really.
So how you came? Are you from New York originally?
I'm from Queens, New York, East Elmhurst, Corona, Jackson Heights. That's my stomping grounds. We didn't hang out in Queens much. I hung out mostly in Manhattan because when you're a kid and you know how to hop on a train, as you do, because you know you're all latchkey kids. You get your independence by the age of like 7 or 8, so you know how to kind of like maneuver and run around.
I gotta do a pause. For those watching that don't know what latchkey kid means, I told my daughter's 8. I told her the other day, I said, can I use the key to open the door? I said, Zoe, when I was your age, it was only me and door. You know, my parents got home when I was probably asleep. She was like, what? What do you mean? I was like, we had our key for the ones that lost it, you keep it around your neck. You know, latchkey kid. So how did you get, it's kind of evident. You were doing your thing. When did you first get introduced to hip hop? What was the first hip hop joint you remember?
Probably like, you know, either the Sugar Hill Gang or like, well, for me, honestly, because I grew up in East Elmhurst, right? I went to school with Kid and Play who are a little bit older. They're my sister's age, so like 2 years older. But DJ Wiz, the Disco Twins, we all grew up in the same neighborhood. Kwame, Positive K and I graduated, went to high school together. So we all grew up with the jams in the park, you know, plugging up to the lamppost and the whole bit. So really, Kid Play was part of this group called the Super Lovers, Super Lover MCs. And so they were kind of like my first introduction to hip hop. And then, of course, obviously, like the Sugar Hill Gang and, you know, Apache, the song, and all that other stuff, the Disco Twins and the Furious Four and all that stuff. So, you know, my backyard was hip hop. Riding the train was hip hop. You know, 42nd Street and the break dances on the linoleum and all that other stuff is my backyard. That's me. The graffiti on the trains is all me. So, I mean, yeah, that's kind of like my upbringing in the Sugar Hill Gang. I guess once you hear it on the radio and you're just like, oh, snap, you know, but when you hear it at the roller skating rink too, or you see the freestyle ciphers that were happening right there on the dance floor, as well as the dance battles on the side, you know, all of that is kind of what I grew up in. So kind of hard to say what first was, but.
I get, so, oh, I should say as a dancer, I remember the first time I realized, well, girls is kind of different. Girls are always dancing. But for a boy, you got to wait until a girl says, oh, you can dance. You know, so, but for you, it's a part of you're doing your thing, you're doing the b-boy, and you're dancing. I take it you got into some kind of battle and you must have did a flip. Because a kid that can flip.
Because none of that happened until later. So to touch on what you said, New York guys dance. They always dance. Even if it's like this, right. New York guys don't have a wall. It's where you go other places, or especially on the West Coast, that they're too fly to dance. Right. I was so involved in gymnastics, and like handball was like my thing. So I really, even at the club, I was roller skating. I would watch the dance battles before I even started. So it really wasn't until after high school and early college, starting going to clubs and stuff like that, I really started to battle. Like, just be like, all right, I'm getting in the circle, because nobody was doing flips. And there were really not any girls doing anything. And I was like, I can do that. And once you do it once, then it's like that drug and that addiction. And everybody's like, yo, she got skill. And then it was like, all right, this is it.
Or it take one crowd going, oh, and it's a wrap.
Right. You just kind of bond, and you know, next thing you know, I'm a backpack kid. I'm hanging out in Washington Square Park, and we're all like, but none of that happened until after college, you know. So I went to college on a full gymnastics scholarship, so I missed a lot of the era of, I guess, the early hip hop stuff. So for me, when watching gymnastics, watching music videos, I saw Janet Jackson and Paula Abdul and Jody Watley, and I'd be like, you know, I could do Vanessa Williams. I'm like, I could be in these videos. They can't. You know how you sit in your living room and you're like, think you're better than everybody else. Just like when you watch Family Feud, you think you can answer better than everybody else. Yes, better than everybody else. And so I got into a 5-year master's program for sports medicine and physical therapy, but you can only compete for 4 years. And year 4, I was like, I'm going to go crazy if I'm not doing something. So I was like, I'm going back to New York, and literally started auditioning. But during college, I would sneak back to New York or Virginia or all these other places. And you just would, like, even just to go to weekends, to go to the clubs in the city, and you just would battle. And I'm a house music head before I'm a hip hop head. Well, I'm a hip hop music enthusiast, but I'm a house music dancer more than I am a hip hop dancer.
You can tell by the energy if you look at all of your choreography and things. And I know we're gonna have to do a part 2, because we just getting the layers, because there's a lot of stuff I want to go into, because as you can tell, and y'all know how I am on education. You graduated with what? What was your degree?
My bachelor's degree was in exercise physiology. And if I had stayed one more year, I would have gotten my master's in sports medicine or physical therapy. But mentally, I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't stay another year in Springfield. And so I thought about going back to get my master's. My mother would love to. And I'm like, I don't know. Okay. Because obviously I still love fitness, and that's my thing. And I'm a science geek and all that other stuff, but we'll see.
So I'm gonna jump real quick, because I know we gotta. So bodyology or bodyography?
Bodyography. Body meaning fitness, and ography, choreography.
So how long have you been here in Los Angeles?
Depends on which time.
I'm not talking about gigs, because I can imagine they took you all over the world, because I don't know where you shot Remember the Time at. So
I've lived like probably 3 different times. Like in the 90s when I came, probably the first time right after we did Remember the Time. So I stayed for like a year or two and then went back to New York and then came back. Was doing radio for like 3 or 4 years, then went back to New York to do radio. So then I came back 2001 and have been here ever since. But I still am back and forth to New York. So still got my other place.
Okay, so what was the first music video you ever did? Because a whole nother thing is, I was telling somebody earlier, I said, see, to be a video girl back in the day, you either could dance or you were the humdrum love interest. It was kind of like,
right.
or you was the dancer. So a video girl, you know, like the routines, until it, you know, of course, like the boys can play, because I remember Do This My Way. I remember us watching Do This My Way so much to look at the moves. And, oh, we can. That's all. Yeah, we can do that. You know, and all the videos, like you said, Kwame and all them. So the dancers, and of course the Soul Brothers with Def Jeff. And I remember watching. We stole every. We got that. We got that. Let's watch Tap. Okay, we take that. You know. So, but what was the first video you did? What was the first video that you were okay? I don't know if you got paid for the first video or not. Usually it's like, come on, we just need some dances.
No, the first music video I think was for a group called On Top. They were a house group out of Jersey. And I believe I got paid, probably not a lot for that, but I got paid. But my first mainstream music video was LL Cool J, Around the Way Girl.
Around the Way Girl.
Yeah.
Really? What up? I could have swore I saw you in something before that. Maybe because it's just the span of hip hop. But you made a amazing point. You said you didn't really get into it until after college, kind of that. So you were at the crust. Were there any female dancers like that in videos, in hip hop videos before you? Like before that crew that came around you, was there anybody there?
Not that was doing hip hop and flips the way I was. When I look at music videos and I saw girls that I was like, oh my God, nobody was doing gymnastics, and there were no Black girls really doing anything other than your technical spins and the high kick and wearing, you know, sexy clothing. And I just, being a tomboy or being a girl from New York City in the clubs, you just, you know, our sexiness was like
nobody was doing the stuff to win a competition.
You know, but I think the closest thing, you know, 357 really didn't come until kind of even later down the line for me, you know. But no, there weren't.
That was at West Coast.
Right. That I was terrible T, because our hair were at the same time. But there were really no women who were doing aggressive athletic hip hop dance. There were maybe Queen Latifah had her girls, and they were probably like the most energetic that I had seen. But there were still no girls doing gymnastics. I really was a unicorn. You didn't see like the Dominique Dawes and you know all the other girls that you see now.
So, Did you have like a modern background, jazz dance? Was it just a part of gymnastics when you did your routines that you had to have certain choreography with it? Where did that? Because you were one of the ones. And let me say this. Because I'm jumping around a little bit. But for those later on that, because I got into comedy and all that stuff. But for those later on that saw Def Comedy Jam, you saw Def Comedy Jam where they had to do something with the music rights and all that. So they cut off a big part of what made Def Comedy Jam even more authentic. At the end, Kid Capri would show off and dancers would come up and freestyle. Mm-hmm. So you were one of the main people that we saw all throughout. You know, you heard your name, Big Les, and this, that. You saw it all throughout. So no modern, but I looked at you and said, okay, I was literally going to move to New York, and I was like, I want to learn how to put the modern dance with this hip hop stuff we're doing, because you look so polished. You didn't do jazz or ballet?
I may have taken a class or two. All of my trainings from gymnastic training, we had to learn maybe a little bit of ballet for floor routine. But I didn't take a lot of dance classes. I literally was in gymnastic practice 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, competition on a weekend. So even though dance is supposed to be part of your repertoire, it's just kind of like there are elements in there. You have to learn how to do a double spin or a triple spin and leaps and connective joints. So you had somebody teaching you those, but it wasn't traditional. I'm not traditionally trained in that way. Literally, the clubs taught me how to dance. Being in the clubs, watching it, being a house head, and just kind of, that's my thing. Absolutely.
So how long did it take? And this is just on some old females is looking at you like, how old is this chick? Look at her body. How long did it take you to get comfortable with your body? Or is that just a normal, because there's a comfort level that you have to have in the club, dancing, gymnastics, to do what you do and have no training. And somebody say, okay, you're going to choreograph. It's like, yeah, I choreograph it. Is it because of the background in gymnastics that you knew how to do routines?
Well, yeah, I used to choreograph the floor routines, but it's interesting you asked me about being comfortable in my body, because I was somebody who was teased in like 3rd grade for wearing a bra because I was large breasted in the 3rd grade. So I wasn't comfortable in my skirt. And then I was really muscular because of gymnastics. So when you look more fit than most of the men or the boys, even at that time, they get a little intimidated, you know, and then you have a skill where you can do all these backflips or do more push-ups and pull-ups and climb the rope that was in gym class. And they're looking at you like you're crazy. And what's interesting is that I didn't take my shirt off at the beach until I was almost like a senior in college, even though I've spent my whole life in a leotard. And in gymnastics, you can't pick it out of your ass, so you get points taken off. So I've been naked on the gymnastics and the balance beam in that arena, but almost clothed, you know, in public. So it took me embracing that and somebody really saying something to me. I was at the Greek picnic at Jones Beach, and some guy was like, damn, you look like a linebacker, but you sexy as fuck. And I was like, the way he said it, and I just was like, okay. But it was so hot. And I got more adoration during that time. And so then I realized, for some reason, I'm 5'6", and like then I was probably 140 pounds, which I look like the average girl, but camera makes you look bigger. But compared to other dancers or what traditional gymnasts look like, who are, you know, 5'2", Simone Biles, somewhere of us, and she's literally up to here on me. They're like, who's the big girl doing backflips? And they'd be like, oh, that's just Les. And then somebody just said, okay, Big Les, come here. And that's really how the name happened. So it took a minute for me to get comfortable in my skin. I think me being able to hide behind the gymnastics and the skill that was really supreme in the room helped me feel really comfortable with what I could do. And that didn't matter to anybody what they said my size was. What happened for me is that I didn't know what a cattle call was until I got to LA. So when you go in New York, you literally got like 30 seconds if you're not doing a routine, a freestyle, or show your best shit. So that means I would have to backflip like instantly and do all this other stuff within the first 30 seconds.
Your attention.
Right. When I got to LA, you stand in a room and they'll be like, okay, you stay, thank you, you stay, before you could even dance. And I would look around and be like, I could outdance most of these girls, but because I didn't look a certain way, whether it was the paper bag test or I wasn't skinny enough or whatever it was. And so that's what made me go back to New York, because I was working in New York and I was like, okay, I'm not here for that. I'm here for the skill, not whatever I can't control, which to me is all you need is hair and makeup and lashes and lipstick and, you know, work it out.
Right. Would you ever, I know you got a boogie and it's on me. So I get to, I want part 2. I want part 2. You got to give me part 2 quickly. Mm-hmm. But I want to say this before you get out. Would you ever thought it had gotten to a point where the very things that you were ridiculed about and shunned about people are cutting themselves and dying to have? And now they look at you and like, oh my God, not knowing who you are. Did you get something done? I mean,
you could have never told me that, you know, I got my KRS-One nose, I have full lips. I'm not 2 pounds, and you would have never told me that this is the thing, or that my silhouette was became a thing because of living single. Like, you can't. There were people before I started Rap City who would be like, "Aren't you the girl who does black flips or whatever?" And I'd be like, "How did you know that?" Because most of the videos, you can or can't see my face. But there were people who would tap me from the back and could just be like, "Aren't you that girl?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, hi. How do you know?" But okay, I take it. I receive it. Thank you, because it helps. It helps all the people who used to tease me in school or, you know, ridicule me about this, or, you know, my sister who would pick on whatever. Of course, I'm the one who wins.
And always been gorgeous, but you know what's so funny about that? Because of your features, because of your body, because of how your face, because you have very pronounced features, you were the one we saw.
That's so crazy.
You may not realize it, but I could run through a bunch of video and see how recognizable you were. Oh, that girl's, because that's what we started looking at. That girl's in all the videos.
But to me, it was always because of the backflips. That's it. There was no other Black girl doing backflips except for me. So that's the thing that.
And you were doing moves that we were doing. You were moving at the same pace that a lot of house music, house dancing competition. You were moving that fast in the video, and then you would flip, and then you would, So by the time you did the living single joint, everybody was like, "God damn, who is this sister?" So,
whoever it came, I'll take it. Thank you.
Well, look, I have to do part 2 with you. Thank you so much during this crazy time. I usually don't date the videos, but if you're watching this is May of 2020. Coronavirus, COVID, everything is going on. One thing I love is that not only is Les educated, radio and TV personality, whole nine, you can go check her out and get some fitness tips so you can not, because I gained 15 and lost 15. So I heard it.
I've never had this much food in my house. My Doritos are like, Leslie, come back. I'm like, hold on.
I'm sipping tea and it's Oreos right here.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough.
Hey, thank you for taking a minute with me, Les. We're going to set up another time to do part 2 because I want to go deep in some things. And what do you think about the state of hip hop? What do you think about females in videos? And it seems like there's starting to be people doing more choreography again. How is that? Are people reaching out to you more? What's the deal? What do you see happening on the horizon of hip hop?
A lot, but we can talk about it on part 2. Absolutely, part 2.
Thank you, sis. I appreciate you taking time out.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Talk to you in a hot minute. Big Les, this is part 1. We'll see her for part 2 in a hot minute. And we're going to get her to dance. We're going to do a dance battle. I'm going to get on the wood floor.
I still got it. You don't want it.
I don't. I kind of, but I don't. I can't. I'm going to hurt myself. See you later.
Bye. I can't.